Away, you are giving me no reason. On top you go on accusing my father for no apparent reason except one, they did not invite us. Why are you so touchy and closed? Please stop that and let's dress up and go. Can't you afford to be a little generous, sire? Can you afford to be a little humble, sire? Let's be wise and hurry up. Lord Shiva said, no, that's not possible, Sati. Sati Devi said, yes, it is possible. I will show you. All you got to do is stop your negativity and just follow me. And you will see how beautiful pair we will look when we proceed. Everyone there will run down to us for our darshan, and I promise I will make my parents apologize to you for forgetting to invite us, okay? The source of all troubles is you want to receive honor but don't want to give. Come, I will teach you to go to my father. He is your father-in-law, remember? I will never bow down to him, Lord Shiva said. Sati Devi said, why? Lord Shiva replied, because, Sati Devi, because pratyudgama prasrayana vivadana pratyudgama prasrayana vivadana vidiyate sadhumitha sumadhyame प्राज्ञै परस्मै पुरुषाय चेतसा गुहाशयायै वनदेहमानिने. Exchange of greetings, standing up, advancing, and respecting gestures and salutation should be done only for the God resorting in the heart of the egoless one. It is never to be done to a puffed up and vindictive person. And listen, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam Yadiyate Tatra Pumana Pavrita Sattveja Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yadhokshajo me namasavidhiyate. It is the critical, clean, it is the crystal clean, transparent, see-through heart, which is termed as Vasudeva, where God is realized in His opposite glory. Only to such a person I can humble down and to none else. Sati Devi said, yes, my father, my mother and all my relatives are just like this, exactly as you described. And I will show you if you just go with me, okay, husband? Sati Devi begged, but Lord Shiva looked around and called on, Nandeshwar, Maniman, where are you? Come with your troop, please. Lord Shiva called the attendants. As they arrived, he ordered them to accompany Her Majesty. They all came in thousands, all dressed up, holding Sati's dresses and musical instruments, white umbrella, flute, and things of her need. Nandishwar expanded himself in the form of large, bull-shaped, spacious airplane. All were accommodated well. Dearest one, Lord Shiva said, dearest one, please don't forget me in the opulence of your talents. I will be waiting for you impatiently. If you see things adverse, just come back right away. I will be very hurt if you did not consider me your own. Vexed at not being able to travel with her hubby, Sati Devi burst into tears and wept in the folds of her husband's embrace. With his own hands, Lord Shiva adorned her and set her on the throne in the airplane, my dear friends. Lord Shiva asked everyone present there to escort Sati Devi to her parents' home and instructed them all precautions. With sweet music of clarionets, sitar, flute, flower shower, Sati Devi's journey began. Lord Shiva with hundreds of Kailashian residents gave her heartfelt farewell, my dear. Sati Devi and Shiva kept gazing each other until she went away beyond the horizon, my dear friends. The airplane moved towards the west, then turned to the south. The team arrived at Haridwar. The city was fully decorated as a bride. People from all nations, all planets were roaming around looking at the beauty of the city. They were dressed differently. Music was echoing, perfume spreading, mantras were resounding. Even river Ganga was raising hands of her waves to welcome the guests. Sati Devi's airplane was parked, and lo, seeing the flying flag of Lord Shiva, her mom Prasuti Devi, the third daughter of Swayambhu Manu, came running to welcome her with lots of gifts and accompanied by 13 sisters of Sati Devi who were married to Dharma. Swaha and Sada also rushed when they heard their most dear sister Sati Devi has arrived. Her mom's sister Devuti's 9 daughters who flew to visit Sati Devi, Ansuya, Arundhati, and the mothers of Markandeya, Dadiji, Shukracharya, Brihaspati, Kashyap, all dropped their works in the middle and grabbed some tributes, a gem, a necklace, a garland, a flower, or something, whatever came in hand, and rushed down to the spot. They saw the beautiful smiling Sati Devi, beaming with delight, embracing everyone, speaking to everyone as a flower showering, their throat charmed with emotions and eyes filled with drops of love. Here comes Prachin Barhe, the descendant of King Priyabrat, Uttanpad, the maternal uncle of Sati Devi, who is now the sovereign emperor of the globe. He offered Sati Devi the costliest gift and bowed down to her, paying his respect. Sati Devi blessed him and inquired his welfare. My dear friends, Dharma, Ruchi and Agni and hundreds of relatives came. We are missing Lord Shiva, where is he? When could we see him? They all begged. And Sati Devi smiled and chirped, maybe perhaps when this yajna is complete and your storage of merits are grown enough, then you might see my hubby Lord Shiva. And she laughed as if music echoed in the air, my dear friend. Then suddenly her face became serious, her heart filled with sacred remembrance of her hubby. Her mind traveled back to Kailash to see what he is doing there. Her Majesty, please, Sati Devi, After so long we saw you, our heart feels boundless joy. Would you please have some herbal drink with us? Breakfast too is ready. King Prajina Barhi requested very humbly. The sovereign emperor of the globe, Prajina Barhi, with folded palms stood before Sati Devi. Sati Devi said, "No, uncle, thank you. I have to see my father first," she said. "Oh, baby," Prasuti Devi, her mom said, "he is in the sacrificial ground and too busy. Better you eat some and rest, then go there." Mother Prasuti was very concerned. Sati Devi said, "No, mom, it's very important for me to see father first." "Then come with me." About 100 of them followed Sati Devi to the Yajna arena, my dear friends. Sati Devi found a strange look as she walked into the arena in the eyes of some officials as she walked. She entered the Yajna campus. Vedic mantras were being chanted with a special rhythm and music. Perfumed oblations were being offered into sacred fire. She saw a vast assembly of Brahmins, rishis, seers, yogis and divinities. Although the floor was made of gold, walls of gems and jewels, and seats of cushioned velvets and silk, yet offering places were made of clay smeared with water mixed with cow dung, and clay jars were placed with coconut mango twigs, my dear friends. Incense perfume were rising and kusha grass spreading all over. Sati Devi walked straight up royally. As she crossed the way, she observed the rites. There were no offerings made to Lord Shiva, as it is compulsory part of the yajna. She was offended. On top, those appointed pandits looked at her with hatred and insult, my dear friends. Ladies are always extra intuitive. Sati Devi understood everything during her walk. As she reached the podium, she saw her father, dressed in yogic uniform, was standing with his hands on his hips, staring at her with a great wrath. He had no feelings, no sense of even normal formality, as if questioning with his red eyes, "Why have you come here? How dare you look? How dare you look and judge my yajna on your own view?" And so much more. In an instant, Sati Devi became aware of the size of the problem. And my dear friend, decided what to do to solve the problem. She did not feel need to talk to the grandson of her maternal uncle, who was sovereign in charge of the whole globe, where her father was only a guest. He was from other planet. There is no need to talk to this man, who is father Daksha. He cannot be made a king and understand, Sati Devi knew. As she stood up in the front of her father, she remembered her husband. Oh, that is why my compassionate Lord was so concerned. She was disillusioned, and suddenly, Arudravagam tamavecha chadvaram Chukopaloka divadakshati rusha. She flew into a majestic rage. She looked with her red eyes to her father and to the assembled crowd. First she commanded her soldiers to keep calm, who had sprung on their feet looking at her fury. Then she spoke in accent faltering with anger very loudly. Her cuckoo stopped, but firm, challenging and disdaining while reverberated throughout the sacrificial ground, my dear. Suddenly everything stopped. Pin-drop silence spread in that noisy place. Everyone's ears were unwillingly glued to Sati Devi's speech. Let me describe it in Shukadevji Maharaj's own words, my dear friends. Jagarha Samaya Shavipannaya Gira Shivadvishambhu Mapakham Smayas Sramasmayan Swatejasam Daganangamudnidan Nigriya Devi Jagado Vishnvata. For joining this yajna, I almost fought out with my husband. But broken-hearted I am to find this yajna crowded by sacrificial fellows, suicidal fellows. Don't you have brain to know that suicidalism and anti-Shiva mentality are synonymous? Shiva is your own true self. And hating him is hating yourself. Is this clear to you, fellows? In order to hide your emptiness, meanness and shame, all you do is just vilifying and maliciously reveling exalted wise men. Can this truth never penetrate your damned skull that Yadyaksharam namagireritam nrinam Sakrit prasanga dagamashu bhaktitat Pavitra kirtim tamalanga shasano Bhavanahau dveshti shivam shivetara Mahadev, Mahadev, Mahadeveti Yovadet Ekena lavate muktim dvabhyam shambharani bhavet. Whoever just utters even causally the word Shiva, instantaneously his millennia-long torturous destiny producing misdeeds are simply mercy pardoning. To such a mighty friend of the universe, how you unfortunates dare to hate him? It is your foremost duty to jump up and grab the throat of the blasphemer of Lord Shiva and pull out his tongue or shut your ears and just leave. If you missed both opportunities, you are the murderers of yourself. So rise up, otherwise it will be too late. Then each one of you will have to pay the penalty with interest. Okay? My dear friend, then Sati Devi walked around on the stage and stood in front of Daksha. And she said, you cannot enjoy what we enjoy, so you cannot understand our way. You are founding a new current of Shiva haters in which attainments of life's ambitions can go on hand in hand with Shiva hatred. And you have gone a long way. But now no more. I am putting a complete halt on it by my sacrifice. Anyway, there is no use of this body of mine since it is born of the semen of a wretched sinner like you. You have lost your worth to be called my father. You are a dirty fellow. Oh, when my Lord Shiva will jocularly, humorously call me, O Dakshayani, O daughter of Daksha, my mirth and smile will be gone. I will be appalled and ashamed of being a daughter of you. Oh, away, away with it now. Gotram tadiyam Bhagavan Vrishadvajo Dakshayanityaya व्यपेतनर्मास्मितमाशुतद्व्यां व्युस्त्रक्ष एतत् पुनपं त्वदङ्गजम्. Shocked and stunned, the assembly was motionless, including Daksha himself. Nobody was able to figure out how to calm down Sati Devi and what to tell her, my dear friend. Sati Devi sat down silent on the floor, facing the direction where her husband was. That's she sipped water that she did Achmaniyam. She covered herself with golden silk, closed her eyes and combined her prana and apana airs in the navel plexus. The oxygen we inhale, exhale through nostrils or mouth and has its seat in the lungs is prana, my dear. That which has downward course and has its seat in the big intestine is apana. That which has upward course with its seat in the throat is udana air. Sati Devi forced udana air into the navel, then to the heart, then to the throat, and then to the middle of eyebrows. Then she summoned the fire and air, addressing them into her limbs, while she began enjoying the honey of the sea, her beloved Lord Shiva, on the screen of her pure consciousness, my dear friends. Soon her body, which was lovingly placed on his lap by Lord Shiva himself, was ablaze and combusted. Dear friends, let us see how Sukadevji Maharaj describes. Ityadhare dakshamanodhyajadruhan chitaudicim nishasada shantava Prishtva jalam pitadukula samprita Nimilya drinyo gabadam samavijat Kritva samana vanilaujitasana Sodanamutthanajanamijagrada Sodanamutthapyachanavijagrada Shanayridinamyadiyoradidau Kanthanurmadhyamaninditanayan Evam sadeha mahadamayada Mangamadaran Niharadedam Charitamanasvini Dadharagadre Vanilagnidharanam Tatasamadu Jaranam Mujanavam Jagadguru Chindayadina Chapanam Dadarjadeho Ritakarma Shasati Sadhya Pradanyala Samadhi Jagnina. The body burned and burned, still it stayed seated straight as if statue. Then the spellbound crowd became conscious. Great commotion, tremendous uproar arose on the earth and in heavens. People shouted, this wicked Daksha, being Prajapati, did not stop his own yogini child preparing death. She deserved honor, yet received mean treatment. Devi Sati's soldiers, as if woken up from sleep, their blood boiled up, and they ran down and jumped on with their uplifted weapons to kill Daksha Prajapati. Bhrigu came to rescue. He poured oblation into Dakshinagni with killer texts of the Yajurveda, and low angelic beings named Ribhus rose and thousands from the fire and fought and drove them away. Narad could not bear it. he ran down to Mount Kailash and told Lord Shiva the sorrowful death of Sati Devi. My dear friends, Shiva felt a shock. There was only one in the whole world who loved him so madly, but she is no longer alive now. Rudeness of her father killed her. Streams of tears flowed down non-stop from the eyes of Shiva, as if offering water oblations to the departed soul of his beloved Sati Devi. As he recovered a bit from the pain of Sati's separation, he asked for the details. Narada told the story. By now, many attendants of Lord Shiva and Nandishwara had also been arrived. They also described the latest news. With Bhrigu's action and the death of the most attendants, now Shiva became angry. Then, sharply biting his lips, क्रुद्ध सदष्टोष्टपुट सदुर्जटे जटां तडिद्वन्निसटोग्ररोदिशम् उत्कृत्य रुद्र सहसोत्थितो हसन् गम्भीरनादो विससर्जतां भुवि. Then sharply biting his lips in wrath, Lord Shiva pulled a fire-like hair from his matted locks, and laughing loudly he dashed it on the ground as if atom blasted. A devastating, bombarding sound arose. Then a mighty, colossal, sky-high person was materialized. He had 3 eyes, dark blue complexion, yet very bright like flaming fire, with 1,000 arms all armed up. Command me, O Almighty Lord, he requested with joined palms and bowing head. Tam kim karomi nidrantama baddhanjalim Bhagavan Bhutanatha. You have my power, go and put terrible devastation on Daksha and his performance. You are now Veerabhadra and the chief of my army. Okay, go. Lord Shiva ordered with a blessingful palm on his head, my dear friends. Veerabhadra circumambulated Lord Shiva's thighs and lifting his trident, looking around with blazing eyes, roared at the army to march. Almost flying by the force of their dreadful rage, they soon arrived at Haridwar like a storm raising dust and roar. Soon the entire Yajna ground was surrounded. Now they started destroying everything from all sides. Some broke the beam resting on pillars, others broke assembly hall, while others smashed dining halls, ladies' apartments, offices, priests' quarter, poured waters on fire pit, destroyed sacrificial heads of the dais, and Maniman bound Bhrigu and ripped down his beard, since he was very proud of it and had laughed, shaking his beard while Lord Shiva was blasphemed. Chandish had grabbed God Usha, Nandishwara had seized God Bhaga, and Veerabhadra had caught hold of Daksha Prajapati himself. Then dragging him on the floor, he knocked down Bhaga to the ground and plucked his eyes. Then he smashed the teeth of Usha. Then he tried to chop Daksha's head off by a sword, but it could not be cut off. Blessed and benedicted as he was, so he twirled it round and around, twirled his Daksha's head round and around and around until it was ripped off, pouring lots of blood. He dumped that head in a blazing fire pit and threw his body on the ground. With a heavy scream, sighed and sobbed, people ran away helter-skelter. But Veerabhadra, like embodied death, went around setting off everybody's head equal to their Shiva hatred. After fulfilling their mission, they returned to Mount Kailash. They all prostrated before the Lord and conveyed him their success. My dear friends, soon the gods, the celestials, flew to Brahmaji, his planet, Brahmalok, and reported the accident. Brahmaji said, "You all are guilty of offense against Lord Shiva by stealing away his share of sacrificial offerings. On top, he has lost his beloved spouse. We have no way to know the extent of his power, but he can be speedily propitiated, I know. If you wish your wellness, make haste to crave his mercy." Brahmaji gave his judgment, but he could not trust them. If you messed up again with this opportunity, his wrath might target next to my planet, because I am his father. This Daksha, stupid Daksha's father. So let me accompany you. With thousands of gods and sages, Brahmaji flew towards Mount Kailash. They saw the silvery hill ranges from the distance. My dear friends, ke jane laso nityam yasya sa kelasa. The reflections of which keep dancing upon the waves of Mansarovar Lake, that's Kailash. Kailash is Kailas Uchyate. That is Kailash and Kailash, okay? Lord Shiva is the transcendent reality. His reflection dangles upon the waters of mind. The team has surprised to see that Mount Kailash is populated by born supernaturally powerful yogis, celestials, musicians and gnomes. Its summits are shining with jewels and gems and variegated minerals covered with shrubs, vines, trees, bushes, and infested with beasts, birds, streams and lotus-filled ponds. The whole mountain resounding with scream of peacocks, echoing with melodious hums of bees, my dear friends, cooing of cuckoos, warbling of birds, towering boughs, and wish-fulfilling trees appears calling the beloved with raised arms. Mount Kailash, through its moving elephants, appears to be moving, and through its murmuring rills appears to speak. Abhayantam yodhastayirtijantamadhuvedrumai vrajantam iva matangayir ganantam iva nirjarai. Mountain is perfuming with mandar, parajat, tamal, tal, ashok, vidar, limkatam, punnak, bakul, jambak, priyal, madhu, and wines such as Kunda, Madhavi, Mallika, Udumba, jasmine, pines, and palmyras, and mangoes, and bearing trumpet flowers, cardamom creepers, wave leaf fig trees, darians, bdelliums, and birds, bananas, rose apples, date palms, soap nuts, hawk plum trees, and clusters of bamboos, my dear, and deers, monkeys, lions, goats, ghayals, and antelopes, and musk deers are leaping, playing, and enjoying. Shiva experience they are enjoying, my dear friend. And lots of lotuses and lilies are blooming in ponds surrounded by clusters of banana trees. Swans are floating on water. All gods and celestials were astonished to see Mount Kailash hemmed by the holy Nanda Alaknanda river of crystal clean water, hallowed by the festive baths of Divine Mother Sati Devi. paryastam nandaya satya snana punyatarodaya vilokya bhutesha girim vibudha vismayam yayo. They saw Alka city in Saugandhi garden just beside Mount Kailash, my dear. At the outskirts there flew Nanda and Alakananda rivers in which celestial ladies plunged from their aerial cars when they exhausted by their amorous dalliance. Then they sport sprinkling their mates with waters. Rivers get colored by their blossom-tasted saffrons and tempted by its delicious fragrance, elephant couples came and drank. Overpassing this, they came to Sandal Tree Forest. They further saw wells of beds of blue lotuses with stairs of Vaidurya, the cat's eye. There they saw Kimpurush frequently going to the spot and swim. This is Mount Kailash's celestial plane of existence, my dear. So do not please get your head boggled up as how can all these be possible in the snow-clad mountain peaks, the barren Himalayas. So don't think like that. It is description of the celestial world. Not far from that, they saw a banyan tree from 800 feet tall and its branches extending to a distance of 200 feet around. Tasmin Mahayogamaye Mumukchu Sharane Sura Dadrido Shivamasira Tyaktam Arshamivantakam. Among the intense peace like death, free from anger, surrounded by Sanakadi sages, Kubera and other yogis, Lord Shiva was seen. That selfless friend of the universe has ready show up in evening cloud, my dear. Aged-faced, long-matted hair, wearing crescent moon on his forehead, a deer skin on limbs, seated on Kushagrass mattress. He was expounding the wisdom of absolute truth inquired by Sage Narad. Positioned in Virasana and Jnanamudra, Rudraksha beads coiled around his wrist. The Lord is endowed by his own wisdom, leaning on T-shaped wooden meditation help called Asa, my dear friend. Sarandarande Mahadinde Jande Nanda Vigraho Vajavanam Sakhyaju Vartragu Yagaram Janam Vidyadamo Yugavadamavidam Dhamadindaram Jandam Vidusaradam Vasalya Lokamangalam Lingam Jadamlamim Nammadmanana Jananin Jadadinam Angena Sanyamrayavritalekam Yamimradam Ugavitam Dharmamayam Vishyam Brahmadanadanam Naradaya Pravojandam Mrinjadin Madam Dadam Kridvaro Lakshani Lavyam Padavadmam Jajanyuri Bhavam Prabhude Yakshamalam Madhinam Dhargamudraya Tam Brahmanarvana Savadi Madhudam Vyupadridam Girinam Yogabhyam Salogavālā Munayo Manunam Madhyam Manum Banjalaya Pranemu. All lords presided by Brahmaji bowed down to Lord Shiva. Soon he saw them and greeted them with warmth and affection. Brahmaji said, "My Lord, you are non-dual absolute truth. When you transcendentalize yourself in form, you are the sovereign ruler of the world. The world is your play like cobweb. You confer heavenly pleasure who perform benevolent yogic deeds and accidents among the evildoers, O Lord. Therefore, how come Daksha has been targeted by your wrath? Anger is not worthy to touch your supremely exalted nature, who beholds all beings as identical to oneself. Let those not be killed by your selfless, altruistic hands who are diversity-stricken and ritual upset and doomed by providence disposed to hurt other beings, and one just sex and belly-oriented, bewildered by your Maya. My Lord, showering mercy with compassionate smile and blessingful palm, this is the only beauty we are habituated to have your darshan in, O Lord. Therefore, please sanctify this beauteous pose and bless our eyes. Kindly resurrect the dead and let the yajna be completed by them and your glories be sung all over the world for oncoming millions of years. And my Lord, let all that which remains unused after the completion of yajna be your share now on. Lord Shiva was pleased and with a heart filled but dry laugh, he said, yes, dry, my dear friend, because there is no mention of fulfilling the biggest loss, the loss of his most beloved wife Sati Devi. And as far as share is concerned, that too they want to offer him only the remnants, the leftovers at the end. But prayer is indeed a smart one. So will be the fruit, my dear. So watch out when you request. Be careful. So the Lord Shiva said, I do not recollect the offenses of ego-stuffed fellows. Oh Brahmaji, oh gods, okay? Virabhadra has done nothing but just taught them a lesson. Hey, just be careful, that's it. But if you feel it too heavy on your chest, then let's go and take care of the situation. Then, sadhu sadhitya Brahman, all gods and Brahmaji exclaimed, well said, let's go. They invited the Lord, and lo, they came to the spot. It was badly devastated, my dear. They wandered around. Soon somebody spotted out Daksha's trunk, and Lord Shiva looked for her head. It was missing. Then he called Virabhadra and inquired about the head. Virabhadra told him it was offered into the fire as final oblation, my lord. But there was a goat speaking out, means I. This is mine, this is mine. This is me, myself. And that's you. Those things are yours. You separate, I am other. So, that is how the goat was saying. So Lord Shiva said, that's exactly the tone of Daksha, my father-in-law. So get his head and let me join it on his body. As he did so, he became alive with goat's head and human body, my dear. But now he was transformed, free from malice, as poor pool of Atman, he prayed with joined palms. My Lord, it's not your punishment, it is your great mercy. The ego by which I was miserable in offending you, you broke it down. I have done lots of offenses to you. You protected me by wiping out their memory. So kind of you, Lord. Lord Shiva moved further up, all gods followed. They saw God Bhaga, his eyes were broken. Let him look like as he is, but he will be able to see in sunlight. Now they saw Pusha. He will eat offering ground, offering, he will eat offerings ground by officers' teeth, offerers' teeth. And those who will offer him anything to eat, it will be ground by them, then he will be able to eat. Then he saw thousands of limb broken gods and sages. He then ordered Ashwini Kumara's couple, the celestial physician, to heal them, cure them, and do surgery on others, and get them well. And lo, they became busy. They did all full well, and everybody ready. Now Lord saw Bhrigu and his beard. It was all ripped out from the root, and looking very ugly, like a ruthlessly pulled off hair of a Jain monks. Lord thought, how will he get his beard now? We cannot ask him to be clean-shaved as fresh Americans. He has to have his beard, but it should not look like Muslims. He should look like a rishi. So how to do that? After all, he is from the family of father-in-law. He is married with his wife, Devi Sati's mother, sister's daughter Khyati. So Bhrigu could be joked with like someone can do with one's brother-in-law. And so in India that is prevalent. So Lord Shiva ordered Ashwini Kumaras to do plastic surgery on his face and fix goat's beard upon his chin. All God saw Bhriguji and suppressed their laughter, but they felt it is making fun of them. But they had no choice. Now somehow Lord Shiva is pleased, and they have to follow his instructions. They have to be happy what he is doing. Lord Shiva ordered Daksha to begin the yajna. Yajna arena was cleaned and purified and well said. Yajna started. Great joy spread out. At last, when Purudash was offered into the fire by Adhvaryu, with the divine aroma, Lord Vishnu appeared, eclipsing the splendor of all. His brilliance illuminating all 10 directions. He was seated on snow-white eagle Garuda. With his winsome smile and glances, he enraptured the whole audience, my dear. All began to pray, group after group. At last, Lord Vishnu spoke, accosting Daksha. He said, just like head, hands, feet, front and back have different names, different uses, different locations, but for that reason no one considers them as belonging to others. Oneness and ownness is undercurrent in all limbs. Same way, a knower of absolute reality, a knower of truth. A God-realized enlightened one is he or she who has developed an understanding, a state of consciousness, a perspective in which he finds not a single living or non-living entity is apart from him. All are in him and he is in all. One alone is oneself. Oneself simply a projection upon this oneness of life. Allness and oneself are simply a projection upon this vast oneness of life. You can start out with seeing oneness in myself, Lord Shiva and Brahmaji, okay? Remember, I should not hear any stupidity from your action anymore, okay? Prayanam meka bhavanam yona pashriti vevidam sarvodatmanam brahman sa shanti madhigachyate. In the presence of three divinities, the yajna was completed. Lord Shiva was offered big worship with his share. All sages blessed. Dharme matirastu. Let everyone's heart be cosmic eyes. Cosmicization of consciousness or love is the meaning of religion, my dear friends. If you translate opinionated sect, Orthodox Church evangelizing in infidels cult, then it becomes object of revolt and hatred. Fire, air, earth, all have their religion. Even the agnostics, atheists do have their religion. They also follow a law, a custom, a manner, etiquette, ideals, which are nothing else but the fragments of the natural and cosmic laws. In true meaning of religion, the true meaning of religion is universal law. Invincible force of nature which provides you success, prosperity, peace and progress as soon as you are in tune with it. Okay, that is dharma, that is religion. Therefore, let everyone drop their fanaticism and fundamentalism and terrorism and dharme matirastu. Let your petty-mindedness, your mean-spiritedness and unkindness be clean. Then your consciousness be cosmic eyes. Soon the soul of Sati Devi was born as daughter of the Himalayas, as Devi Parvati, and she regained the Lord Shiva and her beloved husband. To know its details, my dear friends, please skim my book, Lord Shiva Bible, Volume 2, released in 2 volumes. These 7 chapters are called Dharmopakhyan, my dear. When you hold malice towards any form of the divine, your religiosity remains failure. Being so devout and firmly religious, still you will be peaceless and at times doing bad things underhandedly. Your religion is always on the Christmas sale. You are a church-going, a temple-going religious person only because some thick-pocketed buyer you have not met yet. So, where is Lord Shiva? Where is Lord Vishnu? Where is Lord Brahma? Where is the Vedas, the Dharma? Then and there, religion brings some color. Okay? Then and there, religion brings some color. There are more stories such as soon as Lord Shiva saw the dead body of Sati Devi, immersed in love, he lifted her on his shoulder and wandered all over the space throughout the world. At last, the discus released by Lord Vishnu Narayana went on chopping off limb after limb, falling on different spots, turning them power spots, Shakti Peethas, still visited today by many pilgrims for this and more. For this and more stories you should see in Devi Bhagavatam, Kalika Puranam, my dear friends, are Shiva Puranam or Linga Puranam.